Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, welcome to the show. This is Nomad at Night. Got my brothers with me, man, my trusties. The Canuck is up at the top, and my guy Keith got that catnip again. He's down at the bottom. He's ready to just roll, man. I can tell when he's ready to talk, he gets like that, man. So it's a pleasure to see it. Thank everybody for coming to the show, man. If you were with us earlier today, you were with us for breaking news, man, and the Kevin Byard signing at free safety. We're going to get to all of that. We're going to save that for a little bit later. We're going to get to some news that's been going on around the league a little bit first. But before we get to all of that, let's give some pleasantries out, kids. Kids, you're on mute, bro.
In the darn mute button. What's crack-a-lackin', no maniacs? How's the world treating you? Hopefully all is well. Good to see as many of you as I do in the chat already. We're going to chop it up here today. Sounds like we got ourselves a new free safety. But without getting too deep into it, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. Keith, what do you got to say?
What's going on, no maniacs? How y'all doing tonight? Yes. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, my man. There you go, my man. No maniacs, what's going on this evening? It's happy start of this week, y'all. It's Sunday night, and we are at Nomad at Night. I am excited to talk about some Bear football. We're going to talk ball, baby. Nomad, what's going on, baby?
All I know is No Mania is real. The No Mania is real. These No Maniacs are real. They busting out of the seams on us, man. Thank you all for the new support. Thank you all to the new subscribers, man. Lovely. I just asked and we shall receive. Man, the subscriptions are going off the rails, man. I love you guys so much for all of that, man. Appreciate you so much for doing that. Keep that up. There's a plethora of things to talk about. First of all, let's address what's on the thumbnail, which we're going to get to here shortly. But the players on the thumbnail are, I believe, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Christian Wilkins, and Daniil Hunter. We're going to get to each and every one of those individually and give them a conversation all within itself. Each and every one of those deserve a conversation. The Kevin Byard signing deserved a conversation. But let's start with some league news, some things that are going on around the league first, some notes to talk about. And so here's one interesting note, and I just want to get a gauge of what the fellas right here on the panel and what you guys in the chat think about Tavondre Campbell being released by the Packers. He's a 30-year-old. He's a linebacker, edge rusher kind of combo in a 3-4 defense, which we would be running a kind of hybrid of, but not exactly it. But Tavondre Campbell is a dog. If you've been watching any games involving Tavondre Campbell and the Chicago Bears, that you know he's a high-quality player. Will we be signing a guy like that for a depth piece or something like that? Is it worth a conversation, kid?
On the cheap, yeah. If we can get him, love what they did with the other guy, but we'll get to that later. On the cheap, yeah. It's a conversation. It allows you to really feel that as a stopgap case scenario and then hit the draft and focus on potentially using that number 9 or early second rounder on a defensive end. What do you think, Keith?
Well, he is a dog, I will say that, but I'm going to be very honest with you tonight, fellas. I've had it with bringing over smackers to try to be part of our team, man. So let him tuck it on down the road. He can go be on somebody else's roster, man. On the cheap or not, I'll pass.
Hey, you know what? I left that one wide open for you. I'm glad you knocked that. I'm glad you knocked that out of the park.
well, I just know this, man. We had a guy like DeMarquise Gates that was from the I think XFL or Arena League. I don't know exactly where he came from. Ended up being a good depth piece for us. Ended up being a pretty good special teams guy for us. Not trying to take anything away from him, but when you think about NFL rosters, you always got to consider the depth. the good teams are layered in depth and quality players. And so it feels like this could be the year where they can get, they don't have to roll with the DeMarquise Gates. You can get a Trevondre Campbell, and that's your depth piece for. But you never know. Trevondre Campbell could still feel like he's a starting player, and he should. For some other team, maybe some other team signs him and brings him on as a starter. Who knows? But if he doesn't, make it on the team as a starter, he's going to be out there looking for a role. And what kind of role will it be if he played here? I think I thought it was just worth a conversation to just get us started, man. But we'll move on to another subject. It's being said that the Chargers are looking at trying to find conversations to trade Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
I heard about some other guys. I heard about Khalil Mack, and I heard about Nick Bosa. That's what I heard about. I don't care about them wide receivers.
Let's get at each one of them. Let's go there. Let's go with the two receivers first, and then we'll get back to Bosa and Mack.
So again, Keenan Allen is one. Who's the other receiver they're thinking about letting go?
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, the other guy on the other side, 81.
Man, if the price, holy smoke, so if they do, it signals something I don't really want to hear. I don't want to talk about. That's the key right there, world. That's the key. I won't get any deeper into that, but I will say I would be happy with either one of those guys on a low wallet share deal. Don't really see us getting either one of them on a low wallet share deal. So I would look to the draft for those wide receivers. That's just me. But let's get into. I'd pay some decent money for Nick Bosa. I'll be honest, and I would love a hometown discount on Khalil Mack. That's how it all rounds up for me.
Well, I'm glad you said that, kids, because I'll pass on the receivers only because I would much rather use that capital in the draft and go get some young guys. But when we talk about defense, those two guys, Nick Bosa and Khalil Mack, if Nick can stay healthy, I'll throw some coin his way. You mean Joey? And Khalil Mack wouldn't be bad on a return. But again, even with that, man, he made a resurgence this past season, but he gotten one bag from us. We can't give him two bags.
You're right, Nick. Thanks to the dude there, it's Joey Bosa, not Nick Bosa. But either one of the Bosas, if they're available, I'm interested in having a conversation.
Chris, I see you up there, man. You got to take.
Yeah, Joey Bosa he played in 9 games last year. He had 6.5 sacks, but you know what? Now he's only paid in 14 games over the last 2 seasons. So at those prices, and I think he's 25 million, something like that. Nah, I'll pass on that. As much as I've loved Khalil Mack, man, in the past, I think that's probably not going to happen.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I think his contract, he's still. I don't know if they probably restructured it at some point, his Chicago contract, but even with season he put up last year, yeah, I'm sure they restructured it. I just build the team. That's why I don't want to go crazy in free agency, because that is just not the way you build a team. And that's what, folks that are preaching about drafting Caleb, hey, reset the quarterback contract and we'll have all this money. Well, you got to spend that money to fill those holes that you can't fill it with draft picks now. I mean, you're not going to have as many draft picks, so you got to fill them in free agency, and that's just not the way to build a championship winning team. I think Ryan Poles knows that. By everything he's done thus far, that looks to be the method he'll take, and I think it's just common knowledge that you build through the draft. So, you know what, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Nah, I mean, if I'm gonna get a wide receiver, I'm going for somebody that's going to be a mid-level younger guy that's just coming out of his rookie deal.
Chris, let me ask you a question while I got you up
Well,
here.
you got Gabe out there.
Because Black Rain just made a comment saying that he's hearing that, and it makes sense. It coincides with what you just heard us talking about with Trevondre Campbell being released and let the touch free agency. Could they be making a move on Khalil Mack?
Well, I think it's possible, but then again, what is Mac's numbers? Let me see if I can get his number. Again,
Does it make sense to you? Does it make sense letting
not no.
It
Doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do to pick up a 33-year-old Khalil Mack.
I'm talking about the Packers, not us. I'm just talking about them.
Oh, the Packers picking him up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my bad.
Who cares? I mean,
Oh,
I don't follow the Packers.
You got to deal with them. You got to deal with them.
I got to deal with them. I don't know.
Scared of Khalil, man.
Hey, listen. You know what? I don't know their situation, so I know my situation. So yeah, they tried to trade for him when we got him, and so I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
I'll tell you this: it would be. I think Khalil Mack would definitely do it. I think it does coincide with them allowing Trevondre Campbell to hit free agency. They get an opportunity with that position being empty to fill it with a Khalil Mack, who's got to deal with us in the division. I don't like the sound of it because I know what Khalil Mack still has in the tank, and so I'm not like your average fan and like, oh, the hell with the Packers. No, I know we got to deal with those guys, and I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around the shape and the texture of what that would look like. And with Khalil Mack standing there, I don't like it, but I know we'd have to deal with it either way. So I'm just putting that out there.
There is a saying, an X is an X for a reason. So at this present time, he's an X, and he's an X for a reason. So we got to move on. We fill that hole with something new. That's how we have to do that, and make them worry about who we got versus us worry about who they got.
Oh, I'm not at all. Look, man, don't get me twisted in believing that I think it's a good idea to sign Khalil Mack. I think that water is under the bridge. Now, that's not what I'm getting at right now. I'm just trying to get people's minds wrapped around the idea of Khalil Mack being in Green Bay and what kind of impact it can have on the defense that we just lost to twice.
I think Green Bay's in kind of the same building mode as us. I think they want to, they don't want to get older. They want to get younger. I mean, they've got. You don't want to take reps away from some of the good young players they've got. And so I really think my boy out of Iowa that I want us to draft. What's his name? Nomad.
And
I'm sorry.
It's Van Ness, Lucas Van Ness.
Yeah, Lucas Van Ness. Thanks. See, it's good to have a young mind on the.
They have one of the youngest rosters in the NFL right now, currently, Green Bay. So
and
I don't see why they would trade for Mack. They're building through the draft. That's what they're doing, much like us, which all smart teams do.
Let me circle back. Let me circle back to Keenan Allen though, right quick, and why I think it'd be a good idea to get a veteran that he's a proven possession receiver. It's probably because of the wide receiver market in the draft. He's probably going to be undervalued, way undervalued, because people are going to go after receivers in this draft early and often, and it's just that thick in the draft. And so at his age, what his value could be on the market could be absolutely affordable after all things shake out. He might be one of those guys that don't even sign anything until later on in training camp, somewhere around that time. By that time, his value could be a whole lot more down than it normally would be. Keenan Allen he's one of the top receivers in the league, but he's getting to the point where he's aging out. And so
he's 31 years old, man. I mean, and I'm gonna throw one of your points back at you, man. What's that gonna do for his psyche? This dude's 31, Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
What's that gonna do for his psyche, man? Leaving the bright lights and beautiful weather of Los Angeles, coming playing in Chicago. I mean, he's probably gonna want some money if he does come. So I'm not sure. I want that here. And he's a good player, and he's had some issues staying healthy too.
I wouldn't think of since you bring that up. the weather and all that kind of stuff. That's worth talking about. That's for a receiver that makes a whole lot of difference. You want to be in comfortable weather. That would be a huge leap for him to go play in cold temperatures. That's one. The second thing is if I turn it around on you, Chris, why would Kevin Byard, in that same way of thinking, want to come to Chicago for $7.5 million? When there's probably opportunities for him to go out west to say San Francisco or something like that to probably get more money.
Yeah, but you're talking a different transaction.
Just
He
saying.
he chose to come here. Keenan Allen would have to come via trade unless they cut him, and so
I think
wouldn't
that's
be
what
his
they're gonna end up
choice.
having to do.
They might.
Okay, wait a second now. So we're talking about we're talking about potentially spending draft capital on bringing in a 31-year-old wide receiver.
No. Us trading them. Maybe I should have made sure that was clarified. I think eventually they're going to have to release him. They're exploring the opportunities or are there options to get those two traded. Now, if they cannot trade them, they're probably going to have to hurry up and start doing some stuff, whether they're going to release them or not. And so, if they release, would you entertain the idea of one of them coming here?
Any of those guys, if they're released,
Yeah,
like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
If they're released,
I think we're out of the trading business for right now.
yeah, we got 5 picks left. There's no reason. Hopefully Ryan Poles ain't even thinking we don't have a second round pick. I wouldn't even be considering trading for anything. But if they're strapped for cash and they got to cut some people, like I'd have an interesting conversation with any one of those guys. To be frank, again, hopefully, like. Nobody's taking on Khalil's price tag, so that's not going to happen. Joey Bosa, Joey Bosa, maybe somebody might take on that price tag. Keenan Allen, very doubtful. They're either going to have to cut him or keep him. And if I was them, I would just keep the guy. He's a little bit old. He's an elder statesman. Let him play out his contract. He's likely not going to get another one at those numbers, but that's just me being a nice guy.
No. 31 is getting pretty old for a receiver.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to see the kind of numbers he's seeing now. Definitely,
It's about add to his disgruntledness of being in Chicago.
it's about whether or not they want to take the cap hit with him on or with him gone. You know what I mean? If they really trying to go in another direction, they're going to probably just eat the cap hit and let him go elsewhere, so they can go ahead and just get going in another direction. Because you got to remember, Harbaugh is there.
They're going to eat some cap money either way.
Yeah. So to me, I think you just eat that cap. Your first thing you're going to try to do is trade him if you can. But when that doesn't happen, you ain't going to be able to trade a 31-year-old receiver. You got a better chance of trading Mike Williams, and he's often injured. But, Keenan Allen, I think you got to let him hit free agency. That's just all it is to it.
Well, I guess my take would be on it. We're talking about specific guys because of the team that they're on, but I would much prefer to go out. If that's the case, then we're talking about spending any kind of money. And yesterday I was harping on cap and being fiscally responsible. So I want to stay on that same road. I would much rather go after one free agent in particular that is, one, young enough. Two, I think if we were to spend any kind of money, the money that we saved with the signing of Mr. Byard, we could definitely pick up another a receiver with that money that we saved. And
very true.
If I'm allowed to, I can throw the name out there really quickly. Am I
You are
allowed
permitted to do so.
Go for it.
Mr.
Curtis
Gabriel
Samuel.
Davis. Mr. Gabe Davis.
All right.
Hey, I was the Gabe Davis.
I would throw that. I'd throw that
Florida,
money out
man.
there. I mean, he's 24 years of age, brother.
All right.
I always try to circle back to this, and God, don't take this no kind of way. I'm not a GM. I don't even play one on damn TV. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with their money. You know what I mean? I always try to think. Whenever you hear me talking, I'm trying to think about what they might be thinking and the reasons why. You know what I mean? It's just to me, it's important to try to figure out, okay, if you went for a Gabriel Davis, why would you go for a Gabriel Davis? You just kind of laid it out as a reasons why, and you start talking about your reasons. But what I would do versus what this team would do is two different things. I think it's a wide open discussion because before today, nobody thought they'd sign anybody under over 30, and we just did that. So we just don't know. I think they haven't set a precedent of signing guys 30 or over, but
well, considering that was a more pressing issue at free safety than as far as receiver, because receiver we can actually address it in the draft. So either way, I'm just if we're talking about spending some money, I would say spend money on that young gentleman versus with regard to the 30-year-old one that we just signed. Yeah, that was necessary, bro, and that was an upgrade to who we let go that we would have been on the hook for.
Well,
we kept him.
They might deem it necessary because we don't know what's about to happen with EQ St. Brown. We still gonna need
he's a free agent.
No, he's a free agent, dog. That's what's happening.
Okay, we don't know if he's coming back or not. What I'm getting at is we don't know what kind of do they value a veteran coming in here, a possession guy? We just don't effing know.
Well, what we do know is that they're going to have to address at least a mid-level wide receiver in free agency. I don't think they swing big. Gabe Davis is going to cost you better than $13 million according to Spot Track.
Right.
Word? Really?
Gabe Davis is a respected receiver. I mean, the guy he was their number 2
guy.
He's
good.
But yeah, he was good at Central Florida, man. Right. I want them to draft him. They're going to probably focus on guys. I would think Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy they would focus on. And as much as y'all don't want to hear it, I think Mooney could still come back, man.
We're gonna get back. We're gonna get to the whole free agent market, man. I apologize for letting that get a little bit off kilter, but here's another name that just came up right before we came on air. I know what I'm going to hear, but it's an interesting name to bring up. If we can talk about Trevondre Campbell, we can talk about Bobby Wagner, right? He's going to hit free agency. What do you guys think about Bobby Wags?
So you want to sign? You want to sign?
I don't want to do nothing. I just ask you guys.
He's stirring the pot. He just stirring the
draft
pot.
One.
I'm not.
He's just stirring the pot.
Time out.
You got the cabbage patch.
Hold up. Time out. Number one, I'm not doing a damn thing. Chris, you ain't doing shit. Kid,
hey.
So let's be clear about that.
That's a quarter to the cookie jar, the curse jar.
Right. Let's just think about what I'm just talking about the options.
One more time, kids. One more time, brother.
All right. Listen, here we go. Devondre Campbell is more of a. I think he can play some off ball, but I don't think he'll be an option for him. Who was the other name you named?
Bobby Wags just hit.
Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, man, I'm early onset. Bobby Wagner at one point would have been a great pickup, but I just think we don't have the need, and they're not going to spend money on those guys.
Look, we talking about a linebacker again. Chris, I thought you'd be in, bro. You know what I'm saying?
No, I want the linebacker. I want him to come out the draft, particularly from North Carolina State.
I'm just teasing you, bro. You're always looking at a linebacker.
It's not a player. It's the right player.
And you know what? I came around and I agree that particular kid we're talking about, Peyton Wilson, that particular kid would be an interesting scoop up in the draft if we have some luxury capital. I'm totally in, but yeah, I wouldn't pay no money for 33-year-old Bobby Wagner. And I ain't trying to say that there's anything wrong with 33-year-old Bobby Wagner. I don't think the Bears should put any cap, should have any cap associated with that. That just
go for it.
I'm gonna say one thing. Pass.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he actually was a part of the Legion of Boom, wasn't he?
Yeah. So everybody got their take on it.
And the Legion of Boom has been blown up.
That's what I'm saying. That's been gone for years.
Hold on. Now. I'll just say this, and I'm a big Bobby Wagner fan. When that mofo stopped getting 100+ tackles a year, then I'm ready to listen. Bobby Wagner's still a dog. Whenever people, is he a viable option for us? Likely not. Because of our linebacker depth. I just had to bring it up because he's in the news. You know, he's
Yes,
a
you
couldn't
did.
help yourself.
and that's what I'm here to do. Drive the
You
conversation.
couldn't help
Get
yourself.
people's opinions. Hold on now. Get people's opinions on what do they think could or might happen. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that I necessarily think that they need to go and sign Bobby Wagner. I'm just giving the man his props. I think he's the top linebacker in the league. I think at 33, I think he's still at the top of that echelon. So he's gonna get a couple $1 million somewhere to go
Hey,
somewhere.
Nomad.
I think you was baiting
Nomad.
Chris. That's what I think you
No,
was
no,
doing.
no.
Nomad, you're doing a good job, brother.
Trying to, but hey, we got more to talk about, man. That's not it. That's not it. Because guess what? Guess what?
What?
Andre James just came off the market. He resigned as the center. He was one of the center options we were talking about. A lot of people like Andre James. I liked him as well. He is off the market. Andre James resigned. I don't know if he resigned or restructured the contract, but he's going back to the Raiders. Anybody got a take on that?
I think he was a free agent, I believe.
Was he?
Yeah, Nick, you correct me if I'm wrong. So, they would have resigned. They would have probably hit him before he hit the market, which is a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. He's good at what he does. He would be an attractive center to just about anybody out there. So smart for the Raiders to lock him up. Unfortunately, you think Poles is done at center?
Can't be.
You talking to me?
Yes.
I'm talking to everybody.
He can't
Well,
be. I mean,
he's
you
gonna
mean a
get one
free
in-
agency?
He'll pick up one in the draft. He'll pick up
Yeah.
one in the draft. He's not gonna grab one in free agency.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't-
and depending on where he drafts, I mean, a lot of people are calling for Jackson Powers Johnson, and I mean, the kid's a good player. They're talking about. Some people are talking about with the 9th pick,
That's crazy.
and I just I
prefer
just
What
think
kind
Frazier.
of a madman picks a center in the
Well,
first one?
apparently some folks think that he's that talented, and he might be, but I think there's other less expensive options. You get better value. I mean, it's important, but I mean, if you draft a guy at 9, you're gonna have to start him, and I don't know that you want to start
If
a center that's a rookie. He's got to make all the line calls. That would be crazy for me.
there's anybody that's done their due diligence, we have to over here at the network. We have to do due diligence on the prospects, and it's one of the thicker, better classes of centers. Number one, to be drafting one at 9 is almost insane with the kind of needs that we have. But here's what I think: I would not rule out them making another move at interior line or center.
I wouldn't either, Nomad.
I wouldn't rule that out. I would say that because of the free agency class is pretty good compared to along with the draft. I think it's a good idea to do that. Actually, go look at that one more hard time, whether it be Morse. There's several guys out there. Bozeman just hit the market. Cushenberry's still out there. Several guys, man. I think
You got Brewer, you got Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Brewer.
Yeah.
You got there are guys out there. Now it's about whether or not you brought this guy Bates in with the intent of giving him the starter's job, or did you bring him in with the intent of him challenging for the starter's job? I think that's the question. Because if it's about him being challenged for the starter job, I think they go back to free agency. I don't think a rookie's going to challenge you.
Well,
That's
let me ask a question.
Yeah, I agree.
Berlissimo put a comment up that said he says, come on now, there's 2 good centers, then there's a huge drop off. I don't know if he's talking about in free agency or in the draft.
Probably talking about the draft. I don't necessarily
draft.
agree.
No, there's more than just those 3, Berlissimo. I'd have to disagree with you, and I know you're a man of great knowledge. But I've looked at Bo Limmer. Bo Limmer is from Arkansas. He's a good center too, and he's got some diversity as far as where he plays on the line. So I think you could, I think probably what they'll do is, they'll probably start Bates and then draft one. But no matter, I agree with you. I don't think it's out of the question that they go out and get another one. Depends on how the market falls out, because you'll see the first wave and second wave of free agency. And then you'll see the guys that are, standing on the corner with a cup in their hand. They have to
I like that name, Deontay, man. Haynes is tough. I like him. He hangs out of Connecticut. He can play
Christian
center.
Haynes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, he ain't no center though, is he?
he's got
He
some
can play.
diversity here too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Bo Limmer. Bo Limmer he came in and played guard his first year because they had the one center that was drafted last year, 2 years, and I can't think of his name. He turned out to be good. Yeah, I think either one of those scenarios, they have to pick up another center. They have to, whether it's in the draft or in free agency. But it wouldn't surprise me, like you said, Nomad, if they went in the
So
second
JT,
or third
Chris,
wave.
if it's about competition, Chris. If it's about competition, are you seriously thinking as a rookie's going to really come in there and compete with? Because if it's about that, ain't nobody competing with Bates. The rookie's going to come in and be second fiddle. Period.
Well, I get that. I don't disagree with that. I mean, you'd have to have a special kid come in and be able to make all the calls and feel comfortable enough with the quarterback and his fellow offensive lineman to make those calls. So, I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I don't think in an ideal situation that's what happens. I know one of the centers, oh God, I can't think of his name, but the guy who was drafted last year, he came in and started this year. And I'd have to look that up and see who it was.
John Michael Smith.
It might have been Schmidt. I don't know. Schmitz might end up playing guard.
Yeah, as it
I'm
stands,
gonna have to look it up.
Bates will be the starter. As it stands, as the roster is currently constructed, Bates will be the starter as of now. But I think because the free agency period, I think you're gonna have to watch that for an entire week because they're gonna strike early, and I think they're gonna strike in between a little bit and late.
So
There's a
J2K
guy
is
that we
saying
haven't-
Joe Tippmann. Joe Tippmann is the guy you were talking about just a minute ago. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing, both me and J2K are saying, I like Cedric Van Pran. I think he's all right. But to be honest with you, somebody who's jumped out to me on tape is Tanner Bortolini. He's pretty solid. And again, he reminds me of my little comp is Jason Kelsey. Kind of reminds me of a Jason Kelsey type of thing. I'm not, Jason Kelsey will probably wind up in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying Tanner Bartolini is a Hall of Famer, but same kind of frame, same kind of tenacity.
Mike Hoffman says, "Is this the Justin Sexual channel?" Yes, it is, sir. Welcome. Let's try not to be name callers tonight.
Man, don't do that. Stop that, man. Don't be doing that, man. You can come in here and you can call us all kinds of things. Just don't call me out my name, man. Don't be doing that. But hey, go ahead.
I'm gonna throw a twist in here. I'm gonna throw a quick twist in here, man, with regard to. Sorry about that in the background. Little something I'm gonna throw into the twist on this is one somebody that we have already currently on roster who I think both Poles and Flus likes, which is Jatari Carter. If he can work his way into, as far as a depth piece at either center and or guard. But with that being said, now that I have had the chance to think about it, yeah, I could see us maybe taking one more stab at somebody in free agency for that center spot. So, and again, being either Evan Brown or Brewer, one of those guys, man, I could see them probably, if the money's right, making a move at that. Other than that, man, we'll address it in the draft.
Yeah, I think the center position, I think they have a plan for it. I think right now, I think Bates was the first step along those lines. I do think that they think he can start at center, but I believe that their motto is to bring in people that can compete, and so that's why my mind leans towards they go back into free agency and actually get a center and actually have a real competition at the job.
Yeah. Bates might be that contingency piece, you know what I'm saying? Just to make sure, hey, I wanted this guy. I know what he's capable of. Let's definitely lock him down. We can get him on the cheap and still go after somebody on free agency as far as either center or that swing guy that can play both center and guard as well. So you're right.
If all else fails, they know they have a piece there that they've signed up already that they know can handle the starting role.
Versatility. They love that diversity.
Yes.
Yeah, so love having that diversity.
Here's another quick note. We only got a couple quick notes before we get into the whole thumbnail, everything on the thumbnail and the possibilities there. We're going to get all the way into that conversation here shortly. So hang in there, people. But Baker Mayfield grabbed a $100 million deal. I want to say it's a 3-year, $50 million guaranteed up front contract. I think that you know what? This is let me get you guys' take on that before I say anything. I'll just go ahead. We'll start with
You
you,
know
Chris.
what, man? I was never a great big Baker Mayfield fan, but you know what? I'm happy for the dude because that's a redemption story. I mean, he floated around after coming
Yes.
off first in the draft, and he didn't hit it. He grew up, and you got to feel good for that young man that he's found a home, and hey, I'm happy for him.
What I
I'm
think what I
really
was
happy.
getting at though, Chris, I just wanted to angle it this way before you get out of there. Everybody is expecting that, okay, we can't sign Justin, you're gonna cost too much money. It may not. It may not cost too much money. I think Baker, I think I'm not comparing Justin to Baker. I'm not comparing Baker to Justin. But I think that contract and the amount of it and how it's structured, it's a 3-year deal worth 50 million up front. I mean, 50 million guaranteed. That probably puts him at about 21 year, 30 the next year, and 20 or 30 the next year after that. Something like that.
Well, no, man, it shows you the fallacy around the whole argument that we need to reset the quarterback contract
Right.
because we have holes to fill, and we have to fill them one way or another. Poles has not
Hmm.
shown that filling them through free agency is the way to go. He's showing you right now he's getting complementary pieces. Okay, so I mean we just I mean that doesn't even matter. I mean we got to fill those holes through the draft, and that the money we have to pay Justin down the road is going to be an afterthought. We're not even be talking about it. We're not
So
going to
what
even
you're
be talking
saying
about
is, so what you okay? So here's how Schefter breaks down Baker Mayfield's deal. 2024, 30 million, 2025, 30 million, including 20 million guaranteed. So there's your 50, and 2026 an additional 40 million if they decide not to cut. Pretty square deal for $100 million. It makes a lot of sense to me. If you don't like what Baker Mayfield does over the course of the next 2 years, it costs $50 million to break to cut ties with them. I can see a very similar case scenario here in Chicago. To be honest with you,
it's
Yep.
for
not going to cost them 50 after 2 years.
yeah.
No, they'll have a lot of that guaranteed money will be off the books. That's why they're front loading it.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I was going to say. They'll probably just guarantee that money right up front, whatever the bulk of it is, and
Yeah,
you know,
you can be sure that contract is front loaded. But
Hey,
I'm happy for the brother, man. I'm glad he got his money. I'm
So
glad he
am I,
performed
man.
well. It was only
I
one
like
game.
Baker Mayfield. I
Yeah,
think he's a really good quarterback. I think he, again, very similar to other people. I think he was given a raw deal. He was rushed out into a team that was really not ready. They're starting to become ready now, and he's long gone. So, him on the Bucks, they were not a terrible team last year. Just a lot of injury,
they were a
unfortunately. Because
playoff team.
yeah, they were.
Went to the playoffs. So
go ahead, Keith. What's your take?
No, man, my take is congratulations to Baker Mayfield, man. I know the guy's
Yes,
story,
indeed.
me being down here in Texas for the past 17 and a half years. I know the kid's story, man. Nothing has been given to that guy. That guy has fought for every single thing that he has gotten. I'm happy for him. I think it's deserved, and I'm glad he's still in Tampa Bay, man. I mean, he had a heck of it's a redemption story, man. And I'm happy for the guy, man. Now him and Mike Evans can really do their thing if they can stay healthy and add some pieces for them. I think they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with, man. So kudos to Baker Mayfield, man. Hats off to him.
I'm pro player. Everybody knows that about Nomad. And I'm gonna always congratulate anybody that can get their money. I didn't care a whole lot for Baker Mayfield when he was at Cleveland, but he has redeemed himself, it appears, in Tampa. There's no getting around that. He played consistently throughout the year. He just sometimes I think, depending on how bad a situation may or may not have gotten where he was at. I say that about all players, not just Baker Mayfield or some quarterback. I'm talking about players in particular. Like we were talking about Michael Thomas. Sometimes, a place where you've been doing business with, that situation has run its course, and it's time for you to get a new scenery in order for you to really put on display what you can do for a team. Sometimes that's the case. For Baker Mayfield, proud of him, got his money. I'm glad that these new front-loaded contracts. It's like orange is the new black. front loaded is the new contract. You know, I mean, that's how people. If I was a football player, I want mine up front. Give me my money. Give me what you think I'm worth for right now, and what you think I can be short to me by the amount of money you give it to me up front. That's how it would be for me if I was in a player in the league right now. So
that was a great analogy too.
Thank you, man. But yeah, man, I think Baker Mayfield got a square deal. I think they like what they saw in him this year, and you know the improvements that they made. You know, during the season, I thought Baker Mayfield played well and deserved it. And so, but let's get to another contract. So it appears, and this is just you know, this is good reporting coming out. It appears as though I don't know that the situation in Minnesota and Kirk Cousins is going quite the way they want it to go. It looks like he wants to explore free agency, and it rings Atlanta to me. I think Atlanta is making the strongest play for him. I think he wants to test out the market. I told you guys, I think at the beginning of this week of last week that, you know, rumors were that he was you know, looking for property in Atlanta. And so that was the word I heard, but now that rumor's starting to get the whispers have gotten a little bit louder. What do you guys think about that? Nobody?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, man. Hey, who wouldn't want to hit free agency? He gets guaranteed contracts every time he
That's
signs.
the free agent king, brother.
Yeah,
I don't remember a player more blessed than him, Chris. I don't remember a player more blessed than him in free agency than him.
No.
How you like me now?
Yeah, he broke the mold. He had every owner in the league hating him because he was the first to get the fully guaranteed contract. Then they gave him more guaranteed money, and so I don't know. The Kirk Cousins story is a great one because he came in as a third round draft pick behind.
Chris, look at Flex Diggs' comment. I like that comment. Let's put that back up because I can actually see that. He's saying Flex Diggs is saying, I can see Denver stepping it up for Cousins. Their head coach wants to win now. I can
They can't afford to. They can't afford to, bro.
I don't know, man. It depends on Kirk Cousins now.
Here's the thing, too.
They got money. You can totally afford him.
Yeah, between now and then, even though they took that hit, that hit only going to cost them $35 million this year.
That's all, huh?
You make that sound like that is no money at all.
Well, you got to remember his total cap hit's going to be right at $80 million. But the cap went up. $35 million cap hit is easier to digest with the cap going up the way it is.
Wait a second, Chris. Are you like deducting what his potential salary will be from the next team?
It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, he can sign for the veterans minimum.
That's what I'm saying. It's still 30.
Yeah, he's probably gonna sign for the veterans minimum wherever he goes.
I'd play for free. Like I said, last I would play for the Raiders.
But I believe, Nick, do you have their cap number offhand? Denver's. I think they got some money.
I do not, unfortunately. I don't follow Denver that close.
Well, you're behind. Anyway,
Denver is currently $14 million over. Denver is currently $14 million over the cap, bro.
They're over the cap. Well, they got to be under the cap by Wednesday. Everybody's got to be under the cap, so it's going to be some stuff happening.
Also, fellas, I wanted to throw this out there. Right before we got on air, it was words being, swirling around that Cortland Sutton could be up for grabs.
Bro, they have no choice. Like I said about Buffalo as well. Buffalo and Denver are in, and so is San Francisco. We just haven't heard it yet. But those three teams are not in really good places by way of cap. I say San Francisco, but they'll shake out once Chase Young is off the books. He tips the scales in the wrong way. So once he's off the books, San Francisco should be all right. Buffalo got some people to get rid of, unfortunately, and Denver's even worse. I think Cortland Sutton winds up on the market. They just got rid of Jerry Jeudy, if I'm correct. I think Jeudy went to.
Jeudy is already gone. He wasn't.
They traded him for a sixth. Yep.
Well, that was last year. He didn't play with. He played with Jacksonville, I think, this year.
Who?
Jerry Jeudy?
No.
Yeah, I don't.
No. He
was just traded. He just got traded to the Browns. He just went to Cleveland.
Yeah, I know he got traded, but I didn't think was he with the Broncos last year?
No.
Yeah.
No, he was
Yes,
not.
No,
He
it
was,
wasn't.
yes,
he
yes,
was.
he was with the
Yes,
Broncos.
he
My bad.
was.
My bad. He was with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Easy. But yeah, that is they are in particular. They are in a particular situation. No question about it. They got to make some decisions. But I do think Flex Diggs made a good point. It is a natural fit for what the kind of quarterback that I know Sean Payton is looking for.
I agree, but
Kirk Cousins is it for him. I think it's a natural fit for Sean Payton. But
I think Sean.
go ahead.
I'm just saying. I think Sean Payton's gonna go get himself some Taysom Hill because that's about all they're gonna be able to afford in Denver.
Look, bro,
I'm
I
not
don't even
sure
know
if
if
they're gonna
Sean
be able to
Payton
afford
know.
anything.
I'm with you, kids. I don't even think Sean Payton know what Sean Payton wants at this moment, bro.
Oh, he
I really don't.
wants Russell Wilson as far away from the building as humanly possible, and I don't blame
As
him if
well as
that's how he
Judy.
feels. Yes.
As well as Judy. That's why both of them guys are gone, man. But I just
Yeah.
say that, man, because he's come in, man. He is a grenade, dude. He came in and just blew that all up, bro. You know, so whoever he get, whether it be J.J. McCarthy or whoever, I can't see Kirk Cousins there. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see him going there. You know,
They can't afford it.
I and honestly, I really think that Kirk is playing this perfectly because he knows that Jefferson wants him to stay in Minnesota. And I'm gonna be very honest right now. I don't know what the GM in Minnesota is doing, but if he don't get this right, bro, he would be on the hot seat and out of there next year.
Well, that I tell you one quick thing before I
And that's where and then we'll lose Cunningham to Minnesota.
hold up. We one thing about what you just said there, Keith, is I was following that situation very closely when that happened when they first got him there. His goal was to come in there and tear it down from the beginning. What they're doing right now was the goal he had in mind in the first place, and that would
2
have
years ago,
included
right?
yeah, that would have been included, doing something with Kirk Cousins. That would have included Dalvin Cook. That would have included some of the other pieces they have. That includes,
Okay.
some of the good players they have on that defense right now. But
Mm-hmm.
what came out and I heard about was they didn't want to do that right at that moment because they felt like there was an outside chance with Kirk Cousins, some of the pieces that they had that they could make a run for it. And they did make a serious run at it, but it came up short like it always does in Minnesota. And, he got a whole year delayed on the plans that he wanted. And so coming into this next year, they still didn't quite just really gut the roster and let this guy start in the fashion he wanted to do what Poles did. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to come in there and gut it, clean it down to the rib cage, and start rebuilding it. But they didn't allow him to do that. And so, to your point, Keith, about if he doesn't get it done this year, will he be on the hot seat? I don't know, man. I think because of some of those decisions that were made for him and not by him, I think he's still got some time. But you could be right, man. And to be quite frank with you, he's a black GM. And we don't always get the amount of time that our predecessors do.
Said
To
I
be quite
didn't,
frank with
but
you,
I was eluding.
that's just facts. I mean, we just don't. We have to double overperform and do twice as good as the next man, or you're easily scapegoated and out of town. Here comes the next guy. And I'm not trying to put race into the conversation, but it's just the facts. So don't feel any kind of way about that. But I digress, man.
And that's my fault. I said Jerry Judy he played with Jacksonville. I was thinking Calvin Ridley. I get those guys mixed up.
Yeah,
Both Bama wideouts.
it's all good, man.
I'm kind of old.
Here's one more little note before we get into the free agents that could potentially come here. There's a 1920 episode that's coming out, which is very, very interesting. That's coming out tomorrow at 9 Central. It's very interesting. It's involving Adam Schefter. And if you've been following Adam Schefter lately, and what have we been talking about, kids? If it's up to the media, they're being the Pied Piper as far as the conversation goes about getting Justin Fields out of town and that working in Poles' favor, right? They're
Yes,
doing their
indeed.
jobs, right? So Adam Schefter's been doing that. And so interestingly enough, he's certainly a part of the way I'm hearing it. He's part of this episode, this 1920 episode that's airing tomorrow morning at 9 Central. So we just start with Chris and see what Chris feels. But go ahead, man.
I'm gonna send it on to kids. I'm trying to find something.
All right, go ahead.
1920 football drive
Yeah,
with Adam Schefter.
he's a part of it apparently.
Oh man, so I'll say some things I probably shouldn't say. I don't trust Bears fueled media at all for my own personal reasons. I find it very divisive. Some of the stuff that they send out, like QB1 when you're about to draft a QB and stuff like that. I find it very, very strange how their media department works altogether. Mind you, the few 1920s that I have seen have been pretty good. So if we're talking about 1920 with Adam Schefter in the midst of, full Justin versus Caleb Kumite, I'm gonna have to watch this one. So I don't know what they're really gonna say, but I'm interested.
Go
What do you
ahead.
think, Keith?
Yeah, you just had the hair raise up on the back of my neck with this one, bro.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. It- ooh, could it be? Now I'm gonna let me stir the pot a little bit here.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Let me look into the camera on this one. Could that be the announcement that they're keeping Justin Fields? Breaking with Adam
Uh,
Schefter.
you know what?
Ah,
I don't
think
know. I
about
don't
that.
know how that. Here's
Think
something.
about
Here's
it.
something.
Think about it.
Hold on. Here's something you all might think might find interesting, and we talked about this week. And it's when we heard that Caleb kind of shunned us as far as when they wanted to do the medical and when
He
they
poo
wanted to
pooed on
do
him.
the 30 visit. Right? We know for a fact that was not part of the itinerary. Man, these GMs and front offices come into this process with a very very detailed process on how they want to go about checking off all the boxes they want to check off. They have a plan, especially with those top guys on their roster. I mean, on their list. And the plan for Caleb was the plan for Caleb, and they had a plan on successive actions after that weren't able to be sussed out. Chris and I talked about this. I think that probably gave them more of a put them in more of a pickle than we might think right now. May have sped up their process in free agency because we talking about the 20th. We're talking about the 20th, guys. He's talking about meeting with them and doing all that stuff on the 20th. And so we got free agency to do. We wanted Justin Fields to have an answer about whether or not he was going to be the quarterback of the Chicago Bears by the time free agency period started. Did the Caleb Williams decision not to work with them and not to go along with their schedule put what they had to do with free agency and the signing with Byard and maybe the decision with Justin Fields put that in warp speed? I don't know. Me and Chris were talking about it earlier. It's something to think about. I just had to put that out there.
Yeah, definitely have to think about it. I mean, I just think all along they have known that they want to keep Justin. I think that decision's been made and it was made a long time ago, right after the season or before. So they have to be totally calculated, man, in how they approach this to get the maximum return on any type of, they have to be very calculated.
I got a little mad hatter going on in my head, man. What better way for Ryan Poles to poo poo on local media than to let Adam Schefter break it on what he's really gonna do and who he's keeping?
What do you need the local media for?
Well, no, is this 1920 thing? Is this going to be a live presentation or?
Like this is why, like, sorry, this is why I don't generally watch 1920 because it is Bears controlled media, and what you
Yeah.
guys are saying, it's well, pot well stirred, Keith, pot well stirred, right? So where you're going with this is that maybe he's just going to control his own narrative. Imagine that. Imagine that he's controlling his own narrative with his own media team.
Hey, hey, Biggs, take that one.
Man, you know
Brad
something,
Diggs
man.
he'd pass out, man.
You know something, man. There's it's just interesting when I found out Schefter's going to be a part of that. I thought I just found that extremely interesting. And
Hey.
you know, I got a couple of different plays on that in my head. One of them is what Keith is talking about. Other one is something else. You know what I mean? But it's very interesting. Like, why would Schefter be a part of the Chicago Bears 1920 drive? But we'll find out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. But while we're doing this, man, before we go to
And
this
the
next
plot
line of conversation,
thickens.
which is you know, some of the guys on the thumbnail and who may or may not be coming in and out of Hallis Hall this week, starting the negotiation period starts at, matter of fact, Chris, let's hit the commercial, man. I mean, the station ID, my bad. And we'll get to it on the
Well,
other
tell
side.
before I do that, can you tell me where this will be broadcast tomorrow morning?
You talking about the 1920 drive?
Yes, sir. On the Bears
On
website.
Bears.com.
You got to go to the website.
Okay. All right. Well, all
Their
right.
YouTube
Check-
channel too, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out.
The best Chicago Bears content anywhere. Catch Nomad live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff and Nomad at Night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
You know what, fellas? I had this wild thought while that station ID was playing, man. And my thought was, you know, we've been asking them, everybody, every day, to make sure you hit the like and subscribe, turn us into the creation you want us to be. You want us to compete with these big guys out there and these big you know, podcasts that are doing better numbers than us, but you feel like we're the better podcast, then show us some love and show us by appreciating, by hitting the like and subscribe. And they have been showing us. And so here we are sitting here with 250 plus people in the chat live, and who knows how many watching the show live that are not engaged in the chat. Who knows? But if we can get at least half of you guys every time we see 200, 300 people in the chat live, if we can get at least half of those people to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, you know how fast we can get to a certain channel that has 50,000 subscribers? If we did that every day, got at least half the people just that are live chatting with us right now, to just make sure you subscribe. If you think we're the best, then put us along with the best. Make us the best. I keep telling you guys, it's up to you guys to make us into the monster that you want us to be. We will answer. Trust me. We will deliver. We will not let you down. If you turn us into one of those channels that can compete with them, we will not let you down. I promise you that. And so I'll just ask you one more time. If you're new to the channel, please go and hit that like, go and hit that subscribe. But it might be more important than anything right now to hit the because the breaking news cycle right now is happening. Make sure you hit that notification bell. That is very, very important right now, because you never know when we're going to go live. But like I said, guys, you guys have showed us the love. Man, it's reciprocated over here. We feel it, and we want to give it back to you. So just do that for us, and we will bring the love to you every chance we can get. So, fellas, here we are on the other side of that conversation, looking at the possibilities, the people that may be walking in Hallis Hall and who may not be leaving when they get in here. And so let's talk about one of my favorite positions to talk about right now is the running back position, because I think we probably around 50-50, maybe, I don't know, 75-25. I think I'm probably the one that really wants Josh Jacobs. I think everybody else feels pretty good about Saquon Barkley. So what do you guys feel about which one of those guys may come in here and which one may stay?
Well, to be honest, man, I'm in your camp on this one. I think Josh is a little bit younger, isn't he? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah, he's just been in the league 4 years.
Yeah, he's younger. You know what? He's shown durability. And I'm not saying he's more talented than Saquon. Saquon is supremely talented. But that he has an injury history kind of worries me. And so, you know, if we did looking to bring in a starting RB, I would prefer Jacobs because I think you're going to get the same type of production out of either one of them. I just worry about the injury history. Having said that, I'm not so sure they'll bring in spend that money on a running back, because running backs too easily had in the draft, and there's some good running backs in the draft, and you can probably get a good one in the lower, definitely on the third day. Even though I do want Trey Benson.
Yeah. We're at that area where it brings me back to how many picks does this man have? Can he even really consider drafting a running back? And at this present time, you can't. Not with those, not with 5. You're right, not with 5. So if we are looking into free agency for a running back, there's no shortage here. And I know you like Josh Jacobs. I know Keith likes Austin Eckler. I also like if they turned around and said they're bringing Derrick Henry here, I would have no problems with it. I'm just putting that out there because they're like, forget the tush push. Who needs to push tushes? You just run King Henry all day long. You're getting 1 yard for sure. So I'm with that too. But the way that I'm going to look at this whole thing, especially after the Byard, the numbers that he put down for Kevin Byard is a beautiful thing. Depending on how many more free agents he can sign, with nice deals like that, sky's the limit on running back, and or maybe they can just then afford to draft one.
And right. I'm operating on the thought that we are going to have at least 3 more picks. That's my whole approach to everything that comes out of my mouth, is that we will have at least 8 picks when draft day gets there.
Okay, kids, I know you really want to see Derrick Henry here, and we were going to get to some other running back options. I know what Keith thinks too, but out of the 2 people that were on the thumbnail, which is Saquon and Josh, which one of those 2 guys would you favor?
So
Saquon.
Fact of the matter is, one of these 2. Oh man, I'm such a jerk. One of these 2 guys doesn't get hurt every year, right? Like, and this is the answer to the question. If I'm putting money behind a running back, I want one that's going to be healthy. They're in and around the same age. I believe Josh Jacobs is the same draft as David Montgomery. I believe he was the first pick in that draft.
Yes.
As far as running backs is concerned, I would have no problems with Josh Jacobs. He catches passes well out of the backfield. He can basically do it all. I'm kind of surprised the Raiders are really letting something like this slip out of their fingertips, but then again, it does sound like something the Raiders would do. Sorry, I had to get my Raiders spot shot in there.
I'm going to throw it like this. With the 2 that we're talking about, either one can fit the bill. It won't be a decision made until after the draft. Once that has occurred, and one of those 2 guys, if they're still on the street, I can see them then make a move, because at that point it really come down to dollars and cents. I'm not opposed to either one of those guys myself. I would lean a lot more towards Saquon, only because of what he can do. Not that Josh Jacobs can't, but the way that Saquon does it with the other backs that we have, I think would really help kind of take the load off of him and maybe preserve his legs and keep him healthy. But either way, either one of those guys, man, I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. But again, I don't see anything happening with regards to a running back that's on the street currently, a decision being made until a lot closer to training camp.
Yeah.
At that point, if not both those guys are on the street closer to training camp, I can see them being presented with an offer to come in at that point.
I absolutely disagree with that one, and not to be
I
honest
expected
with
you not to agree.
Well, let me go ahead and plead my case. My thing is this: there are times when I think everybody has some pretty good running backs on the team. Every single team in the NFL has some pretty good running backs. There are times when some blue chippers absolutely that separate from the rest of the pack show up on the market. I don't believe for 1 second you can wait until no training camp to get either one of those 2 guys. I think the market's gonna suck them up pretty quick. I do think that running back is even though again we have a couple of pretty good running backs on the roster, but they're not quite as anywhere near as dynamic as these 2 guys, and they are a couple of cuts above the rest of the fray. And so I think the opportunity, and again, I always go back to this, fellas, and ladies and gentlemen in the chat. When you get to thinking about it in its minute detail, you start watching the film, and the Bears are starting to make moves that feel like they can win now. Okay, so if they feel like that, what are the pieces that you can put in place to really give you the thrust over the hump? The home run hitting free safety definitely was one. I think a home run hitting running back is definitely one. I think we have some good solid picks. I mean some solid running backs, but I think one of those two guys would put us over the top. I just really do, man. I think they think that. Now I'm assuming I'm not Poles or Eberflus, but I can imagine looking at the film that they feel like, man, you know what? If we just had an elite back there that can really carry the ball and really put this thing on his back and carry the game. That's what you want when you're handing it off to a running back
I
for
got a
him to get
monkey
a
wrench
rhythm.
for that though.
For him to get a rhythm, get a flow going, and he can kind of carry a game for you. He'll set the tone for you. That's what you're looking for. We didn't have that outside of Deontay Foreman, and something happened, throughout the season. Somewhere along the line, something happened with him. And so that's what I think is going to happen at the running back position. But if you guys want to, you can talk about a couple of these other names like Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, or anybody else you guys want to talk to.
That's what I was going to
Got a monkey
say here,
wrench for
right?
that.
Well, those are the guys, man. Those like, and again, we keep skipping over Tony Pollard. He's not a joke. He's, in my opinion, he just has a price tag that's a little bit higher than I would want to pay for Tony Pollard is all. But given that there's 5 or 6 running backs that I think would be an improvement on our team on the free market, I think they have the luxury of waiting. I'm right there with Keith. I would wait until basically training camp. Once when you've filled all of your additional holes, all the holes have been filled, and you have additional surplus cap space, then you dump $10 million on one of these guys. But I wouldn't do it next week.
You're not going to have to dump $10 million by then.
Right.
The top guys in the
It's going to
class
come down. You're right.
Yeah,
that's the benefit of waiting as well.
Top guys in the free agent class right now they're projected to get around 10 million. And so, you're not going to have to drop that kind of money. The thing you're going to be looking at here more so is age and how much, because Derrick Henry's out there. I mean, Derrick Henry still has value. Derrick Henry can still take it, he can take it 90 yards still, but he's 30 years old. So I think
he falls for 4. Like that's why I love the idea of Derrick Henry.
I know.
He can't get that first down.
He stumbles for 4, bro. You're right.
Yeah. So I think that in itself, his age is probably going to keep him out of the first wave of free agency, unless a team that feels they're ready to win now, jumps in. And I don't know that that's quite where we are yet. I don't think we're running back away from the Super Bowl. Yeah,
that particular running back might do it though. I hate to say that.
I know you love Derrick Henry, boy.
I think about how like the shortcomings we had last season, how frequently we're trying to score that first down on 4th, and it just did not quite work out. Man, that's over with King Henry. That ends.
Well, look, bro, I'm gonna hit y'all with this, man. Here's the monkey wrench to Nomad's theory is this. I get it, every once in a while you have a blue chipper that hits the market and you feel like you just have to take that person, right? But the thing is this, that blue chipper was on another team that didn't make it to the playoffs. But the team that won the Super Bowl didn't necessarily have a blue chipper. They had a 7th rounder, and they won the Super Bowl with that 7th rounder at running back. So I get it, Nomad. I hear you, man. I don't, trust me, I get it. But I just think that if in the event they are still on the street, closer to training camp, even a first week of training camp, then I would not be against them going at one of those guys. But I think that there's enough talent in the draft that you can get somebody and then wait. And once you see what you have after OTAs and once you're getting ready to walk into training camp, you can really engage where you're at. And if you think you are that one guy away, then yeah, man, at that point you're looking at between 6 and 8 mil to get that same guy that right now, if you threw the bag at him, you're looking at 10 or 12.
Well, consider the source you just raised that argument from. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and probably a top 2-3 defense in the league. You just talked about, and that's a completely
I
and
did.
You compare that to where is San Francisco without McCaffrey. You compare all that, I could come up with a lot of scenarios similar to what you're saying.
They didn't win with McCaffrey.
Hold on, fella. Now it's not like what you're saying doesn't have validity. You're right. There's another way to look at that. There's another way to do that. All we're doing is basically kind of throwing around the idea that, what are these guys thinking? I can look at this film and look at the whole year and tell you that it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they think one of those two backs can put them over the hump, along with some other pieces that they have.
I believe that. And
so I'm just saying, nobody thought Kevin Byard would be signed because it was going to cost too much money. He's 30. I get all that stuff, man. That wasn't out of the realm of possibility either. But when it came down to it, those are the people with the purse, and they decided that this guy was a piece that we needed. And so this is just us with our thoughts and ideas about what direction either one, me, Chris, Kids, Keith, any one of us could be right, or all of us could be wrong. That's all I'm saying. So, it wouldn't really surprise me if either one of those things happen. So we'll just leave that there. Let's talk about who else is on there. Christian Wilkins. I think that's the least likely piece to get brought in Chicago, and if he comes in here and stays.
Who?
Christian Wilkins. Go ahead.
And you surprised me saying that, Nomad, because I would have thought that was the top guy you would have been calling for. If
you think he's less than a running back?
No. I'm saying he's the least
less likely
of the bunch of guys that's up there to come land in Chicago because of what kind of draft capital we spent in the draft last year, and plus we bring in a defensive line developer in.
It surprises me that you say that, but I agree that I think, and you've heard me say before, I don't want to take snaps away from Dexter. Having said that, Christian Wilkins is a beast, but you're going to either have to take a big swing. They're going to take a big swing somewhere, and it's either going to be a DT or DE. We had introduced the free agent possibility of a safety before. That's gone now. We got a good one at a good price. So if they take a big swing, it's going to be an edge rusher or DT. And I'm going to give my money to Danielle Hunter if I got to. So I agree with you. Christian Wilkins is a beast, man, but I think we got a baby beast just waiting to happen. And my guy from South Carolina, I mean, he didn't get as many snaps. He's going to get more snaps this year. The other defensive tackle, whose name always escapes me, Pickens, yes.
Pickens,
but yes, sir. But we just gave money to Billings. Dexter's on the up, and don't forget Walker can play on the inside also, and he's more effective on the inside. So we definitely, if the big swing's going to have to come for the edge, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and and honestly, I would much prefer that we throw the bag at him, just so the fact that Detroit don't get him. So if we're gonna have to overpay for somebody, let's overpay for Hunter.
That's a secondary positive.
Who's gonna go there, man? But let's talk about the likelihood of Wilkins coming here, Kids.
Not happening.
I just, for all the reasons Chris just dropped down, right? For all the reasons Chris just dropped, we've invested quite heavily into the defensive tackle position. We do need a 3-tech, but I have a feeling, again, build through the draft. I have a feeling we're going to continue to do that with this with the 3-tech position, with the DTs. Period. So I really don't think, it's Dexter, it's Pickens, it's also Billings. I like Andrew Billings a lot. He's got a lot of moxie, a lot of attitude. He started to grow on me. I've watched a little bit more of his tape when he was playing in Miami, and he's just a joker out there, cracking jokes, messing with the refs, and I think that attitude is definitely needed on our defensive line, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it this this
And
coming season.
let me add this, Keith, before you jump in. Given with the all-star staff we just put together, I mean, we have to depend on the draft and development.
Holy
We
shit!
have to.
Hold on, Chris. Is that
Uh-oh.
true? Is that true, Bellissimo? Source that out for me, man. Somebody.
Eric
What are you talking
Armstead.
about now?
Eric
What?
Armstead is getting released.
Eric Armstead?
Yes.
What?
Somebody help source
Per
that
who?
out.
Per who?
Per
We just
Bellissimo.
got through saying. We just got through saying they got to do some things down in Frisco. We just got through saying something's got to give down there. Something's got to give.
I don't see that anywhere. But
Bellissimo, you better not be rolling no.
now you know they probably called him. You know, Bellissimo. You know, he got some folks. But still, I mean, for me, that doesn't change anything. If you're going to spend money on a DT and make a big swing, because Eric Armstead's going to cost you some money too. So I just think you have to depend on these great coaches you just brought in. Eric Washington, known as one of the best coaches for defensive linemen in the league. Now he's your coordinator. I mean, you just spent money last year. Probably going to add another interior lineman in the draft when we get the haul.
Hey, Chris Slick saying it's true, man.
Oh, I believe it's true. I told you. If Bellissimo says it, I believe. So yeah, go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you fine, brother. You fine. No, I mean I know we're focusing on Wilkinson, man. But with that being said, I believe in. I really think that this young man Dexter is putting in the work. I want to see, and I know we got to also build depth. I get that piece too, but I think what's more important for us is that edge. Do we need to be able to get pressure up the middle? Yes, we do. But I think this young man is put in the work in the off season and going to continue to put in the work in the off season. And I want to see. I don't want snaps taken away from him. I would much rather see him and Pickens both, go in and do what we need to do at that three tech and at that three tech position. I would much rather just throw that bag again because I'm a competitive dude, and I don't want to see Detroit get nothing.
Well, we're gonna y'all jumping the gun a little bit, brother, because we're gonna talk about
Let's
each
just
one
get
of
that.
those.
Let's get that in.
Hold on now, because we
Let's
got
get
we got. I think it sounds like Eric Armstead has made everything interesting. I mean that interior tackle, I didn't expect him to be there. Now we were just talking about Wilkins, and I believe okay, so basically it's a lot. It's about 50-50 if I had to gauge the Bears fan base that feel like okay, we should work with the tackles that we have on the roster and keep growing them. And there's another half of the fan base that says we need a three tech right now. There's I think it's a split based on just the conversations I've been having with different people. It's definitely about 50-50. And so it doesn't surprise me that a lot of people, that you feel like we ought to concentrate on DN. I'm in that department too. So while you're talking about that, let's just slide on into there fully earnest. Let's talk about Danielle Hunter, and let's talk about why I believe that I think the Bears are in a kind of no-win situation because you have to think about how this could play out. You're talking about Aiden Hutchinson and Danielle Hunter on one side, and we just got Montez Sweat and whoever else we got on the other side on the other. It's a competitive advantage they would have against us. You know what I'm saying? And I think because of that situation, and they may or may not have wanted to actually, go after Hunter. We don't know. But knowing the fact that Detroit is hot after that player, now are we in a position to where we're in a no-win situation? You have to go ahead and overpay to keep your opposition neutered. Let's start with Chris and let's see what you got to say about that.
Well, Detroit's in win now mode, and like your coach told them, getting there is not easy, and they were right there. So they're going to be in in the market to do something that's going to give them the push to get over the top. So that, to me, that's the secondary reason why it does neuter your opponent in the interdivision opponent. But I mean, you get Daniil Hunter because he's Daniil Hunter, and he gives you nightmares.
Both could be true, Chris.
He gives you nightmares twice a year, and he's just over the last few years, he's probably been the most consistently good defensive end in our division, easily, probably up there with Boza from San Francisco in the conference. So, man, especially given after today's signing of a 30-year-old free safety, man, that's the big swing. I bring out the Louisville Slugger for him.
Go ahead, kid.
No, thanks. Anyways, I'm not worried about Detroit as far as where you were, Keith. I'm not worried about Daniil Hunter. All I know is we need to dump as much investment as we can at that defensive end position. That's my 2 cents. If it's Daniil, fine. At 30 years, that's years of age. I'm not too worried about it. He gets the job done. Whoever they see fit at that position, that's where I think the influx of investment should be. I don't think it should be at the defensive tackle position again, as we were talking with Christian Wilkins. That's where I am with it.
FFG style saying, let me highlight this. This is FFG. He's saying that per Schefter, Wilkins signed a 5-year deal today with Miami worth $95 million guaranteed, with 3 years making the highest paid 3-tech ever. You sure you're not talking about Chris Jones?
You got to be talking Christian. I'm literally on Adam Schefter's page as we speak, so let me verify.
Yeah,
that looks eerily
like
similar to the numbers I saw for Chris Jones the other day.
Yeah, and Miami is dealing with cap problems, so I know you have to be under by Wednesday, but
that's okay. You probably saw the wrong name, but either way, go ahead. Let's speak on Daniil Hunter and why you think he's a player, Chris, or not. Why not?
He's not Chris. I was going to say he's a player.
Well, no,
he's a player.
So I'm gonna hit. You know me. I like to think outside the box. But before we do that, I'm gonna hit you with this. I'm good with Daniil Hunter if we just need to throw the bag at him. But something just hit me, man, and I thought about it. Knowing how Ryan Poles every once in a while, he comes up with something, man, that surprises everybody.
Guys, we're looking at an AJ Espinosa. Like I don't really mean to.
I'm not looking at him because he won't get the job done either. But what's to say that he doesn't trade for his end and go get Josh Sweat from Philly and bring him?
There's a whole lot of that defensive line
from. Where are we getting these picks from?
Where are we getting the picks from? Because I just feel that Justin's not going nowhere, bro. That's where I'm getting the picks from. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
with
I agree.
That being said, we can just hear me out. Just hear me out. Y'all, when we were talking and everything, y'all don't mind throwing money at free agents. So I'm gonna think outside the box. I'm just gonna throw something out there, and let's just say we take one of our picks, and we approach Philly because word on the street is they are shopping Josh Sweat. Who's to say that we can't throw a draft pick their way and a future draft pick for his services?
Namely, we don't have a second. It would have to be a first. They're not going to take a third-day pick for Josh Sweat. It's not going to happen.
I think that likelihood.
So you won't give up. You won't give up number 9 for him?
Oh Lord, no. No.
I just asked, brother.
We were talking about Hunter and why. You know what I mean? Because we still got some time, man. We can get into all these other players and the scenarios.
Well, that's part of the Hunter. Man. I just threw it.
Imagine they trade for Josh Sweat.
Think I saw the
draft. Andre Smith. Just be the sweatiest defensive line in the country.
Sweaty line, yeah.
Well, listen, let me tell you something, guys. There is a lot of wild ass scenarios that can play out that we may not even be considering. It'd take us 2-3 days to get to it. But we can get to some of that stuff. But I'm trying to stay, because one of these days I want to cut this out for a short, maybe. And I'm just trying to get people to stay on message. We were talking about Daniil Hunter, and why not Daniil Hunter? Give me the reasons, and that's it.
Well, I said earlier, I if we're gonna throw the bag at him, I prefer to throw the bag at him, especially if we're competing against our conference rival in Detroit. Just that simple.
And
All
if we
right.
get those 3 extra picks, man, I'm making a big signing, and I'm still drafting Jared Verse or somebody. You can never have enough monster pass rushers, guys. Inside
Yeah.
the offensive line, defensive line. If you make those 2 elements strong, you're going to have a good team. You're going to compete for championships. Period.
Well,
Look, I'm not going to sell I'm not really with the 30-year-old case scenario. I'll leave that for you guys to sell. I think Poles will probably draft. I think Poles will probably pay 2 different defensive ends in free agency for half the price before he'll pay the 30 mil that Daniil Hunter is probably looking for.
Well, then I think that negates
it
him
won't be
drafting
bad either
one
way.
high.
I'll be honest.
I think if he goes after Epinesa and a second, mid-level defensive end, I think that negates him drafting a Varys. Oh God, please don't make somebody talk me off the roof. I think that negates the possibility of him taking a pass rusher high, and I think now.
Why would you say that with an AJ Espinosa?
Well, no, I said if he doubles down in free agency. That was the scenario you were talking about.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, mid-level. If he picks up, I think he's going to pick up one. But if you pick up one, and you're going to swing big, to me it should be a Daniil Hunter. Then you draft a guy high, get him into the rotation, and in 2 years, when Hunter's probably going to get a 3-year deal, and by the 3rd year, when all the money's gone, if his play is dropped off, you plug in the rookie, hopefully Jared Verse.
Now, let me say something, man, if you guys don't mind. I think sometimes, and it's not that you guys don't have a valid argument about a player being 30 years old, because in some cases it's absolutely true. Like we talking about a 30-year-old running back, we're talking about a 30-year-old linebacker. Those 2 positions, I know for a fact, the mileage adds up quicker for them at that position that they play than some of your other positions in the league. That being said, I do think it's too much emphasis being put on how old a player like that is. 30 years old is not old for a DN. In a lot of cases, more cases than not, that's when that player is really starting to round out into form and starting to really put on display what his tool bag is like, and he's just now kind of peaking. You start talking about a guy like let me think about a guy. What's his name? Not James Houston, but Justin Houston. Justin Houston probably played his best football to me in my eyes watching him on film, because I thought that we might get him last year. He played some of his best football in the last couple of years.
I agree.
And so I think we always see that number. Oh, pause. He's 30 years old. They don't sign 30-year-olds. Well, he just proved that wrong today. And so I think we need to think about that a little bit harder, number one, and not be so willing to brush a guy off because of his age, especially at different positions other than running back and linebacker. I could definitely see if you were talking about a 30-year-old running back or a 30-year-old linebacker, but I think we put too much emphasis on the age in some of these other positions.
And you can spell, Daniil Hunter, you can spell him with a high draft pick. PJ writes in the chat that if we spend on Hunter, we won't be drafting a DE in the first round. And I
agree.
I don't, because
why would you spend $30 million on a 30-year-old man if you don't think you're going to win?
We're not going to spend $30 million.
PJ's not.
Okay, 25.
If they put the number sounds like more like 28, but if they put that's the price tag on them, you can best believe they're not going to go early with an edge rusher.
That's what they're saying.
I totally not agree with that.
Why? Why would they double down like that? They're not even going to get. They're not even going to play.
Kid, let them say his logic.
They're not going to do what?
They're not even good. So you draft him at 9, just as a for instance, or top 20. He's not going to get snaps like he would if there wasn't a guy in front of him.
Well, you mean the rookie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, rookies don't show up in their first year, edge rushers. Am I right, Nomad?
No, not mostly.
They generally don't show up. You got to get ready. You got to get used to the strength and the speed of the game. So while you're developing him, you got Danielle Hunter, and you can spell Danielle Hunter with him. But believe me, there's no such thing as not having 3 good edge rushers on your team. Especially if one of them's 30, you're grooming this guy to be, with you the next 10 years. You've got to have that. Teams that can pressure the quarterback win. They always win. Teams that can protect their quarterback, they win. That's why you build from the inside out. So I totally disagree that they wouldn't draft. Look at what San Francisco did the year they took, excuse me, not San Francisco, but the Rams, the year they took Aaron Donald. They had the previous 2 years they had spent high draft picks on the defensive line.
Well,
I
Chris,
knew we were going to
But
get
that's
there.
not
And
the
Aaron,
same as paying one. If you're drafting 3 for rotation purposes that are all on their rookie deals, I get it. That makes sense. Paying a guy big money and then drafting a guy to sit behind him doesn't make sense, and that's what I'm saying.
he's right, Chris. Be honest with you.
no, he's not. You aren't either.
I think I think I am. I think I'm right
But
for sure.
think about the logic behind it. You got now when I talk about depth of the draft, now I'm talking about all positions. I'm telling you, you watch enough of it, and what's clearly going to step out as a clear marker is going to be offensive tackle. It's going to be receiver. It's probably going to be DBs, whether it be safety or cornerback. It might be center. Some people might say center, but edge rusher is on your lower rung of positions in this group for the last couple years, in my opinion. And so you're talking about a GM's board value. They might see a Latu or Jared Verse or Dallas Turner as top of the echelon, but with their top picks, I don't see the logic of them grabbing an edge rusher with those early picks, knowing that you got a Danielle Hunter signed for 2 or 3 years. It just really, that's where the logic falls off to me, Chris.
If it's the right guy, you get him. If he's the right guy, you get him. And the more I look at Jared Verse, I just think in 3 years he could be like one of the Boses. He could be like one of the Boses. He could definitely be that player. And by then, you've got Danielle Hunter, all his money. If you sign him to a 3-year deal, front loaded, by the 3rd year, he's out of all the guaranteed money, and you got a guy ready to step in. I mean, there's
Don't you
logic
want
to
a
it.
starter? Don't you want a starter at 9?
Yeah, of course you do. You want a starter eventually. Edge rushers don't usually have that
No,
type
I
of
mean,
impact.
this
Draft him at
season.
9, Chris. If you draft him at 9, he's got to be a starter.
Like this season, if you're drafting him at 9, first round, you want him to play this season. And I'm not that's
Yes.
whoever I'm drafting
I
that
think-
high in the draft
I think he will
is
play.
playing.
I think he will play. But remember, we're building this thing for the long run.
How's he gonna play after-
Where was Will Anderson drafted at last?
He was like number 4, so he was high.
Okay, but the reason I just asked is because he was an edge, right?
Yeah.
And won Defensive Rookie of the Year, right? So that
Yes.
you're going to spend that type of capital, man. He's got to come in and rocking and rolling. So if that's the case, then no, you don't spend that, you don't throw that money to a free agent. You go at it in the draft, but I mean, that's a tough decision,
I'm
man.
not saying you guys. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I think there's logic both ways.
I hear what
there
you're
is
saying.
logic both
I
ways.
think your logic stands up better if we ended up trading that first pick and ended up with some more capital. I think that's when your logic stands
Well,
up.
no, I just told you earlier. I am speaking from a position that we have traded and got to
I
haul.
didn't hear that
I
part.
know none of that. I told you that earlier. Did I not say that? I am speaking from the position
Yes, you did.
that we have traded and got to haul. I don't think there's any way in hell we go into this draft with 5 picks. I think we're going to have at least 8 picks, at least. And the ones we add are going to be high picks. So let me repeat. I'm operating from the thought process that we will have more picks than we have now, and a lot more. And yes, Laz, there is logic in that. There's always logic in having devastating pass rush.
Laz don't think so.
I can't argue with that. It's just the financials and who's going to play when that I take issue with. So we'll see what they do. I know you want to get Danielle, and I won't be mad if they get Danielle.
All right.
Same token, I want them to draft Jared Verse. I won't be mad if they draft Jared Verse. I would just like, one of those two guys to see snaps.
All
One
right,
thing for
so
sure, we'll know by Thursday or Friday. That's for sure.
Do you
yeah,
think that they will draft? Nomad, do you think they'll draft an edge rusher?
if it goes off the logic of getting extra draft picks, I think
No. Yeah, that we're speaking from that position that we're going to have
yeah,
extra
if
draft
it's
picks.
from that, if it's from that standpoint, they get one somewhere. I don't know early is
Yeah,
it.
I agree.
Like I always say, man, it ain't getting a guy; it's getting the right guy.
Well, they
And
got some
so
guys later on, man, that can project a whole lot better than some people might think.
I get it. I mean, I'd love to get Darius Robinson because I think he can play. He can play both. He can set the edge and you kick him inside. And that would be the spot that Walker is holding. I wouldn't be adverse to getting that. I mean, I just think you stack those defensive linemen, man. That's why San Francisco's been so successful. They stacked their defensive line. They even traded the guy to Detroit, and they still have a killer defensive line.
Chris,
That's what got the Rams their Super Bowl and put them in contention. They had a stacked defensive line.
Chris, that's why I love doing these shows, man, because
That's why you love me.
Now we're no longer having these conversations privately on the phone or in the green room. We can have them live with all these people, 263 people. Make sure you hit that like. Man, I hope it's at least 200 likes in that damn thing, man. All y'all dead to me. I'm just telling you right now. I'm just telling you, man. Y'all better hit the subscribe button, man. Y'all want to turn us into the monster that you know we can be. Do that for us, man. Please. Please do that for us.
To PJ, we've talked much about two mid-range signings of Chase Young, I see, and Leonard Floyd. Now, your boy Nomad is a big Leonard Floyd fan. So that's another possibility. We could just do it. We could double down on edge rusher in free agency. I think that's a viable possibility.
So
that's what I was saying. I was like, an AJ Espinesa and somebody else who's affordable. I wouldn't be mad at them, but that's really from the position of us sticking around with 5 picks, right?
We won't be able to get Jared Verse.
We're really close to that. We're really close to that, Chris. We're gonna get.
Well, I'm just addressing PJ. He said trade down and pick up Verse. Verse is probably not going to last out of the top 10.
Probably not, and I don't think Darius Robinson is going as high as people think he is either. But that's a whole other conversation. How about this? How about what did y'all think about the Byard signing? I know most of y'all probably was like, no, man, they ain't gonna spend no big money on no 30-year-old free safety. Everybody got against me, and I'm good with that. But they ended up signing the one that we thought that they would, man. I said circle that guy, circle Justin Simmons. We ended up getting Byard. I think, to me, and I'm gonna tell you why I thought he was the right guy. I mean, it's really hard to find a safety that can play sideline to sideline and play up and inside the box well and play it effectively and be like a dominant person to do both of those equally well. Why I think, and I'm gonna tell you something else. I think the new defensive coordinator might have had a heavy hand in this, because if it was left up to Flus, I believe they would have drafted. I still think they're going to draft the safety.
Yeah, they have to.
I think it would have been, no, don't worry about it. We'll draft the guy and we'll play him. No, I think it's value in getting that really productive, highly productive elite safety in the league when you want an elite defense. This guy that can come up in the box and play some of that game and get deep. And he is so dynamic. Some of the stuff that he does on film is very subtle. Baiting the quarterback and making that quarterback pat that ball one more time because he's not sure what that free safety is going to do. He does so many things well, and he's really starting to get to the peak of his career. And so I think it was a home run signing. I think it's an absolute home run signing to get that guy. It would have been nice to get a safety. A safety would have been a safety, but to get that guy in the position that we are in, what I think is starting to get into a pretty loaded defense and kind of layered. They still need pieces. They need depth. But I think that guy was absolutely a steal for $7.5 million a year. I never would have thought it would have happened at that price. I thought at least if they got him, it cost them $10 million a year. But lo and behold, we got him for 2 years at 7.5. He saw something in his team. This dude could be anywhere right now. He could be anywhere right now. That amount of money, This team says volumes, man. And I think we ought to pay closer attention to what that means.
Well, no, man, I think if and J2K makes a good point. Said Byard is just the beginning of Fields staying. Okay, you can read so much into this. When you make a pick, you pick up a guy at 30, and believe me, there's a couple of positives. This, we replaced Eddie, and we picked up probably close to $10 million in cap space, and we improved over Eddie, a guy who's willing to tackle. Okay, but the other thing is, it shows you, as good as he is, Byard is not the long-term answer. So these guys know they're going to have to go into the draft, and they know they're going to have picks, and then they know they're going to have to get some picks from somewhere to fill these needs. So to me, that tells me they're confident they're going to be able to get some extra picks, and it wouldn't surprise me if they drafted a safety high. Cam Kitchens is a guy who probably slipped some in the draft because of his 40 time, but the guy can still play. I mean, he's a ball hawk. So I thought it was a great signing because I think we're going to be in a position to win now, and all it takes, where we start is not where we're going to finish, guys. I said it last year, and goals for this year too. If we keep going on a certain trend, we're going to be contending. We're going to be contending.
About that simple. Honestly, yeah, man. About that simple. Chris kind of laid it all out. As far as Kevin Byard is concerned, it's funny the way that you mapped it out, and how you're sticking up and bigging up a guy who's 30 plus or 30 odd years old, 30 years old, I believe he is, and suggested he was one of the better players in the league. And we stopped and we said, yeah, he probably won't sign a guy who's 30 odd years old and pay him big money. So what did he do? He did exactly what we both said. He signed a 30-year-old and paid him. I got a wicked deal. Like that is the exact deal you want. He sliced off $5 million more or less year on year on at the free safety position, and upgraded it by way of play. So I'm excited to see what he actually brings to the table in Chicago. I think he will bring a heck of a lot more than we've seen from Eddie for the past couple of years. Eddie did have a pretty solid year 2 years ago, but I think across the board, we're going to see an upgrade at that position. And that's key. You get an upgrade at a lower price tag, I'm all in all day long. Keep it going. Let's see who else he can get at a decent price tag. Go, Mr. Poles, go.
Well, first, Nomad, I was kind of in agreement with you with taking Byard. Remember, I did say as long as we can get him for at least 3 years and let him be that bridge guy. So I think it was a great pick, especially a great pickup, especially for the price tag. I mean, we cannot. I mean, once again, and like J2K said, it's just the beginning of what we know to be the inevitable. Because a guy that had the pick of the litter in terms of where he could land, that chose to come here, had to have some very serious discussions about what is their plan moving forward. And with that being said, I'm gonna pass it on to you because I'm looking at the time. And I know we got to start wrapping things up. But hey man, it was a great pick. I'm happy that they made the pick, and I'm just looking forward to see what they're going to do this week, starting tomorrow with the negotiations and everything that's going to take place that we don't know that's taking place already.
Well, quite frankly, man, when I saw that, and I told you guys at the very beginning of free agency before it all started, we said it, not just me, we said it, that the choices that they make in free agency will be a great indicator, right? We said that there would be a great indicator on what direction you think they may go, as far as what do they think about where this team is and the progressions they made throughout the year, and what do they think about building with what they have or moving on to another quarterback and starting kind of over is what you're going to end up doing. I know CJ Stroud had a good year in Houston. I'm going to tell you this right now, and mark my words, CJ Stroud had a great year for a rookie. I mean, an elite year for a rookie. But I'm going to tell you this right now, and I can promise you this. Every young player hits a wall. Every young player hits a wall. Now that he's got a year of film out there, now that they've got a year of tendencies out there, they're going to be much more prepared for CJ Stroud than they were this year. And so he's the wall that he didn't hit, the rookie wall that he didn't hit this year, they call it what they call it something, the sophomore
Sophomore jinx.
Sophomore hangover. Sophomore
Count on
jinx.
that. Count on that. He's gonna run into a wall. He's gonna run into a wall. I don't know if it's gonna happen early or late, but
Trevor Lawrence did.
yes, it happens, man. You know, it's just about the player and the structure around him. They made it really simple for CJ Stroud to bring him along. Not to say another player can't come in and do something like that. What I'm saying is the likelihood of doing that, everybody knows, is slim to none. Slim to none. And you know, if I'm Kevin Byard, I'm coming in here and you telling me that we might possibly bring in a rookie quarterback. All right, man. You know, I thought it would have been a nice for me to come here, but I got to go elsewhere. I'm 30 years old, getting ready to be 31 in September. I don't really feel like I have time in my career to watch a rookie develop. I don't think some of the guys that we've signed to this roster, DJ Moore, Montez Sweat, feel that either. And so I mean, it just never made logical sense to me with the moves that they were making. Add this one on to it with signing Kevin Byard, that you go and get a rookie quarterback and call yourselves contenders. Those two things don't belong in the same sentence. I'm sorry for the people that really love Caleb Williams and want us to make that move, but it doesn't belong in the same sentence. It just doesn't. So I'll just end this conversation with this, and we'll start this. Is there a guy, and we'll get ready to wrap it up after this. Is there a guy that we're not talking about? I don't care what position, that you can see walking into Hallis Hall and getting those conversations started and staying that we haven't currently discussed so far.
You talking about a free agent?
Yeah, free agent.
Not that we haven't talked about. I mean, because possibly a wide receiver. I mean, we could possibly be looking at Calvin Ridley, maybe. I'm not sure. The big swing, if there's going to be one, I think it's got to come along the defensive line. That's my thinking. And either whether we double down and
Your name,
two for one, a name.
Yeah, give me a name. That's all I'm looking for, is a name that we haven't been talking about.
Well, I would say as a wide receiver will be Calvin Ridley.
Like,
we haven't talked about Calvin Ridley, but that's the only.
Did you ever check his market value yet, Chris?
Calvin Ridley.
He's at the top of the market.
Well, and you know what, because you postured that question as you know, who we haven't talked about. I don't know that there's one we haven't talked about.
No, that's
Calvin
one of
Ridley's
them.
market value.
We haven't
his 17.5 million is what I'm saying.
That's what I thought.
That's probably why we haven't been talking about it.
Yeah, that's just ludicrous. The one guy that I'll say is Caleb Thibodeau, by way of potential trade through New York. Probably the only guy that we haven't really had any discussion with. You know, if that's the trade that they wind up closing in on, and they can incorporate a player like Caleb Thibodeau, I wouldn't be angry with it. It would, again, take care of our defensive end situation. Probably the only name I can give you outside of that. I think we've touched on just about every possible player that might
let him go, man.
Say that again?
You think the Giants will let him go?
If the Giants are willing to drop their pants for a number one pick deal, we're fleecing them for whatever we can. So Thibodeau might be that coveted player for Ryan Poles, because again, it fills that defensive end requirement that he has, that hole. Outside of that, not much more in the cupboard in New York, right? Like, not that much more there to discuss.
You'd have to call to get Magic's permission, though.
Hey, Mike, man.
Oh, he's running the whole NFC now.
He's running the draft.
Hey, Mike Hoffman, why I got to be adjusting sexual? My mother called me a mother something. Yeah, you can name call me all you want to. It don't bother me, man. But go ahead, Keith, man. Is there a name?
Mike also thinks the world is flat, so we'll just leave that there.
I'm gonna go in a different direction. Yeah. If they're gonna double down on anything, possibly, and I think throw some, a name that we haven't really talked about, will be Brewer at center.
We-
I'm
we-
just throwing a name out there that if we need addressing a need, I know we went and got Bates, but if we're going to address a real need that we keep talking about, we want to make sure that whoever the quarterback is protected. And he's right now listed as probably the, if not number one, 1A or 1B in terms of centers. I would say Brewer.
And J2K makes a good point also. We didn't mention tight end. I think they do have to pick up a tight end in free agency.
I think that's going to
Nah,
be.
not
I
a
think
free
that's going
agency,
to be.
brother.
I think that's
that's
going
a
to.
draft pick.
No. I think they absolutely going to get one. In
We only
free
got one under
Me too.
contract, bro. We
Yeah.
only got one under contract. You can't take two in the draft.
Yeah,
Noah Fant would look like to be the guy, and we've been talking about him all off season. He's coming from Seattle. He knows the offense. He's not going to cost you a ton of money, and he can block and catch the ball.
What about okay? So there's two other names. So CJ Ozama, I'm butchering the last name. CJ, I'm sorry. He's apparently available, and so is Logan Thomas. I like both those guys at tight end for us on a again cost-effective tight end deal.
So I think there's a few names worth discussing. I think one of them is it depends on what the price might be, but I do think I know for a fact that we're going to draft an X receiver. I know that. I think getting a veteran X receiver because we don't really have one because St. Brown really particularly ain't on the roster right now. He's in free agency. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is a name that I think, in my eyes is a strong candidate for the right price. Very strong candidate. If you look at his body of work, man, that dude is, if nothing else, he is very consistent. Comes down with 50-50 balls, blocks. He's dynamic for a guy that's kind of big. You know what I mean? So I would keep my eye on Donovan Peoples-Jones at receiver, but I think you got a good point there, Keith, about Brewer. We talked about him quite a bit early. We identified him as somebody I think probably on the first day or two could get scooped up if they go back in free agency and look for an actual center that they think is a starting center. If they don't think, I think there's going to still be a competition, but I think over this training camp period that's coming up, I think that's going to be a very interesting position to watch out for to see how that develops because it's just
Peoples-Jones market numbers is estimated to be 2.7 million.
Okay, we can do that one. Let's go. Let's get Donovan Peoples-Jones back.
I mentioned that earlier. I think he's a guy that you target. You target a young guy coming out of his rookie deal who's got a lot of upside, So
yeah, I have no real talk. I'm with you though, Chris. You said it before. I have no interest in a wide receiver in free agency. Absolutely not. If we're talking $3 million, okay, that falls within available funds for sure. If they want to splurge it and get a wide receiver, by all means do it. And Peoples-Jones is a good wide receiver, not taking anything away from him. But I think we need to develop at that position in the draft. So that's where my
Can I ask Brad Holmes in the chat? Detroit going to let him go, or also known as Don Burr?
Yeah. Hey man, listen, man. This I tell you what. This is what's about to happen. I tell you what. Let's give some pleasantries before we get ready to get out of here, and I'll close it out with a few thoughts. Let's start with Chris.
Hey man, listen. I just appreciate you guys. Our numbers look so good, and it's all due to you. You guys have been supportive. Even the guys that come in and call us Justice Sexuals, man, you guys are welcome. As long as you behave, we love having you here with us. It's all about the discourse. We like the discourse, and that's what this is all about. It's not about getting mad or acting like a sophomore in high school calling each other names. It's just about the discourse. If we draft Caleb, I'll be the biggest Caleb Williams fan in town. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys. Thank my guys on the panel. Kids, love you, man. Keith, love you too, brother. Nomad, you okay. Nick did a good job in the back, my friend. I appreciate you. So listen, guys. Hey, it's going to show. This time next week, we'll have some answers. So bear down.
Yo, 200 plus in the chat. Represent No Maniacs. Give you guys a round of applause. Thanks for coming through. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely show us some love on the way out. Another decent show. Keith, good rocking with you. Chris, good rocking with you. Nomad, always good to rock with you. Nick, C Sharp, you know how it is. In any event, lots of fun tonight. We had a good discussion about where we're going to go. I think some big things are going to happen this coming week. Hopefully we find out who that defensive end Poles has his eye on is, and let's do it. Oh, and lots of Bajent love in the chat, which I just find super weird at this point. But go Tyson Bajent. He's a bear.
Reaching a new demographic.
No Maniacs, thank you again for hanging out with us tonight. Hell, we rolling up on 2 hours, and you guys have been hanging in there strong with us. We do appreciate it. Thank you again for the likes. Well over 100 likes for tonight as well, along with the great number that participated in the chat. And for those of you who are out there that did not participate in the chat, we don't want to forget about you guys either. You're as important as those in the chat. Thank you for hanging in there with us tonight. My fellas on the panel, as always, I love chopping it up with you guys talking ball, especially Bears football. I want to leave with this. We got an upcoming week where it's going to be a lot of information tossed around, a lot of, hyperbole with regards to who's doing what, who's going where. Just keep this in mind. Pay attention to the tea leaves. There's been some that's been dropped that nobody wants to read. But I'm going to tell you like this here. You see that?
Yeah, a little bit. We got it.
There it is, baby. There it is. Bear down, y'all. Y'all have a safe week. Tell somebody, make sure you tell all your loved ones that you love them. Because guess what? One thing for sure. At some point in time, we going to leave here. So in the meantime, love everybody. And be a blessing to somebody as well, all right? Peace out, y'all. Have a great week.
All right, man. I appreciate everybody's thoughts, man. I ditto all of it. And let me say this to you guys. Well, tomorrow, a couple quick notes. Make sure I said this before. Make sure you got notifications ready. Hit that notification bell because we're scheduled to go live at 3 p.m. Central tomorrow with Nomad Live with my guy Sean and these guys here. Hopefully we can get, because I'm saying that why? Because the free agency negotiation period starts at 12 o'clock noon tomorrow. And so with that being said, there's going to be some rumors. It's going to be a lot of rumors being there's going to be a lot of conversations about this person is visiting with this team or this person is leaning to signing with that team. It's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen. So hopefully we can get to 3 o'clock without having to do a show earlier than that and having to do a breaking news show. But if we have to, if it's that necessary, hopefully we can rally some guys together and do a breaking news show for you guys. But that being
there will be deals in place tomorrow. I mean, you'll know who's going where tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, but you shouldn't know anything until 12.
Well, yeah, but and after 12, I'm saying by 1 o'clock you'll have some stuff out the way already. They can't make it official till Wednesday, but believe me, it will be circulating, and you'll know where these guys are going.
I think you're right for the most part. I think
you can bet I am.
Are you talking about, now clarify, you talking about most of the front end, the upper tier guys?
Yeah, the first guys off, you'll know. It happens every year. They call it the
legal tampering period.
Legal tampering, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, you'll have deals in place. You'll have Schefter. Schefter won't have his phone. Will never leave his hand tomorrow. As soon as 12 o'clock starts.
Give me the over and under, Chris. Give me the over and under that you're right, brother. Give me the over and under that you're right, bro.
I'm right. Period.
He's dead ass right.
No, he's definitely right for sure. We're gonna hear all kinds of noise tomorrow about everybody who's talking to everybody, but a deal can't officially be inked in the stone until Wednesday.
And
Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport will be going crazy.
We technically shouldn't know what we know now about this, but
by Wednesday, the first wave will just about be over.
Yeah.
Happens every year.
Yep.
Every year since they had the tampering period, it goes down that way. And they had a little bit before that, before it was official.
So this has always been my favorite part of the season. You know, the season in itself is my favorite part of the season, but when it comes to non-football things that are going on, non-actual football game things that are going on, this is always the funnest part for me. It's the possibilities and how you can get your team aligned and join it with some new pieces to really get you where you need to be. And it's an absolute, I mean, it's like a early Christmas for me. This part of the year, it really is. It's like an early Christmas for me.
Fascinating.
Yes, it is, man. Just the possibilities are endless, and I can't wait till tomorrow, man. You know what? I'm probably not gonna sleep that good because that's how I am. Built like this. This has been in my DNA since I was a little ass boy, and ain't gonna change now, man. And so I definitely appreciate you guys for showing up. Let me say this: we had over 200, almost 300 people in the show. Man, if I look up there and I don't see 200, at least 150 likes on there, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed at my crew, man. But all you got, huh?
What did I do now?
Not this crew. You mean the crew in the
Nomad.
chat?
Hey,
Oh,
Nomad.
man, good
You had
Lord, y'all.
153 likes, brother. We're at
I appreciate
153 likes right now.
Yeah, can I do this outro on y'all, man? 'Cause I really would like to close this show. I appreciate everybody for coming, but like I said, I think our goal, if we get to the 300 people in, we're just going to ask for at least half of those people that are not subscribed, at least half of those people, because I know that at least half of those people, at least, are not subscribed to the channel. If you can give us that kind gesture and make sure you subscribe to the channel, you're going to turn us into what you think we are. And that's one of the best Chicago Bears podcasts out there. What that could lead to is you got all these big channels getting all these endorsements, all these, just big money backing them. Once you put us in that space, they won't have no choice but to come knocking at our door. But here's the trick to it. We ain't going to change who we are. We won't change one little bit. Not one. You might see a couple extra commercials. And if that's the case, then we just do a little bit longer show so that you get more content. But it won't change who we are. Never. I won't allow it. My crew won't allow it. And so I just do us that favor. Every day I'm going to ask you, give us half the people that's in the live chat. Make sure we get half of those people give us new subs. And I guarantee you, before we know it, we'll be right next door to your favorite podcasts that are up at the top. I promise you that. We're going to ask you that every day, and we'll see what we do. So I appreciate you guys and all the support so far, because it's definitely shining through. Every time I look at the numbers, they are crazier and crazier. So it's definitely working. So what you guys are doing, sharing the content, letting everybody know about the show, it is definitely working. Don't think your efforts aren't working. Every time I look up and see the numbers, I'm telling you guys, it's working. So before long, we're going to be knocking at those doors that you're talking about, that I was just talking about. And so it's just a good time for us. I'm excited. We get ready to take some new directions. Got some things planned for you guys. A lot of stuff. But I can go on and on talking about that all night, but we do got to get out of here. And I appreciate you guys one more time for being here and enjoying the show with us. But I got to say these famous words before we get out. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Peace, no
Bear
maniacs.
down.
Bear down, folks.
Boom.